Hi everyone, welcome to this brand new episode of AWS She Builds Tech Skills. This show is all about showcasing the amazing technical projects that women and those who identify as women or non-binary have implemented in AWS. We'll nerd out with some awesome guests lined up from the tech community as well as technical women from AWS. My name is Maini Shitani. I'm a solutions architect from AWS based in Australia, and I'm here with my lovely co-host May.
Hey everyone, my name is May. I'm also a solution architect based in Sydney, Australia. So She Built Test Skills program. First of all the viewers, thank you all for joining us today. She Built Test Skill program is a monthly series. This is where we're going to talk about some of the awesome projects that community has built and share their story. So this program is all for all level of technical experience and will provide resources at the end of the episode so you can take it away and learn from it. So today's episode, we will also be running a live Q&A with our guest speakers today. So make sure you put your questions in the chat as we go. And we got awesome moderator on the call as well. So if you have any question, put it in the chat. So what's in it for you as a viewer? We will be giving away homework, resources, lab tutorial for you at the end of the show. So stay tuned for that.
Thanks, May. We now have our first special guest, Lani Lim from Auto General. Now I'm going to bring her online here. And Auto General is on a mission to be Australia's best insurer by providing affordable, comprehensive and dependable insurance solutions to all Australians. And Lani is a DevOps engineer, and she will talk about how she built GitLab runners on Amazon EKS. And as someone with a keen interest in containers, I'm super excited to see what she's built. So let's go and check this out.
I'm Lani. I'm here to talk about the Amazon EKS. We've used this to run our GitLab runners. For those who don't know, GitLab is a CI/CD platform that supports the whole DevOps lifecycle from planning your work to releasing your application. So for today's talk, I will do a quick intro about myself, the problem we're trying to solve, the high-level architecture and how it kind of looks like in our environment, what GitLab runners are, and a quick demo on upgrading one of the clusters. So I've been doing DevOps for almost 10 years now, essentially providing operational and maintenance support to various web applications. For the most part, I've been in the financial industry. I actually started my AWS experience back when I was in Canada as we wanted to transform our digital banking into a new platform. So this included running Kubernetes inside EC2, using Route 53. Amazon also gives you a cert management along with that. So it's your automatic SSL updates. We've also used RDS as the database, S3 for static content, CloudWatch for monitoring. As part of my day-to-day job, I obviously talk to different teams within the organization. That includes like the BAs, project managers, developers, and testers, just so we can help them to make their life easier. So I'm also responsible for the availability and performance of the overall platform. So having the right tools is essential as we need to continue to monitor and log them. So this gives us stats, dashboard that will help us improve the product. And as always in production, there's always going to be issues, and the tools that we use will help me do my job essentially. I've chosen this field because I like solving business problem with technology, and technology, you always have something new to learn. And I generally just like helping people. And I also look out for things that can be done better. So here in ANG, we've actually implemented a well-architected multi-account AWS environment with AWS organization. This is one of the AWS best practices. So we are able to separate business accounts and they'll have their own sort of billing. So in any organization, you might have a finance business or marketing. So they can easily use AWS with their own accord with just us sort of helping them to build it as great as possible. As such, when we build this new environment, the CI/CD platform needs to align to this, as it is going to be used to provision the infrastructure and deploying our application within AWS. GitLab also natively supports Kubernetes, so it's easy for us to just also use what GitLab already provides and what Amazon is providing as a service. So we don't have to worry about any maintenance. About the maintenance, upgrading, all these things I've done this before. So there can be a lot of operational support that you need to do in order to have your cluster up and running. So it also integrates well with other Amazon services like IAM. So like the pods are able to assume the roles, and it can support like Amazon ALB as well as NLP. And it also uses the VPC within AWS for pod networking. So it also runs the control plane across multiple availability zone, which ensures the high availability and scalability of the cluster. So as for the automation tools, we've used Ansible Playbook, CloudFormation, and EKS CTL. So this essentially provisions the EKS cluster, does the role mapping, and the service account attached to the runners, and the policy on what things that it should be or not be doing. So this is our high-level architecture on how we've deployed GitLab in our environment. We take care of the core infrastructure within AWS. So essentially that includes like logging, security, networking, all the stuff that's going to be needed across all accounts. We do have a dev org and a prod org, so we can essentially test it we can test it within the dev org without affecting everything or what's live right now. Then we have different accounts for the workload accounts. And it's always good to separate out your non-prod environments to your prod environments. So this is essentially how we've done it. And the thing is, GitLab, the source repository is quite integrated with your pipeline. So for us, we decided to use the develop branch to go to the non-prod environments, and then the master will go to production. So it can be different depending on the team, essentially. So this is how our communication within to GitLab.com and Amazon looks like. So the things that we run in our local machine, like the Git, the kubectl, EKS is able to talk to GitLab.com and as well as our AWS console. So for example, if I push a code into GitLab.com, this can potentially trigger a pipeline. So essentially the GitLab runner that runs within Kubernetes is just sort of a job that pulls GitLab.com if there are things that need to be run. So it pulls it like every minute. So within Kubernetes, the master is essentially responsible of exposing the APIs, scheduling deployments, and managing the overall cluster, the health of the cluster, essentially. And the thing is, like, depending on the organization, you might already have a Docker registry somewhere else. It can be from Docker Hub, Artifactory, Gig.io. So these are just a few things, vendors that you can also use for a Docker registry. So you can potentially build your Docker and then push it to your registry. At this stage, when we implemented the EKS cluster, it's all EC2 instances, but you can also implement it using Spot instances or Fargate. It just all depends on how you want it all to look like. So like I said, GitLab runners are essentially responsible on running jobs within the pipeline. And they are deployed in EKS. And we've actually just used the Helm chart that GitLab already provides to us. So it's an easy install where you just have to put in Helm install GitLab runners, essentially. So for this demo, I'll be updating one of our cluster to 1.20. So let's get to that. Okay, so for us, we use Ansible Playbook to actually trigger an upgrade. So essentially, this will trigger a set of commands, and part of it will be a CloudFormation update, which will update the cluster. So if we can see here, it will trigger to update the cluster itself, and it will also update the AMI, essentially. It normally takes around 20 minutes to update the cluster. It's just, it also depends on Amazon's resourcing availability. So you'll see here that I've triggered update history. In the update history within Kubernetes, you'll see that I've triggered a version update. And the good thing about Kubernetes is when you trigger an update, it automatically knows to do a rolling update. So you will not have any service impact at this stage. And it will do one at a time, essentially. So this is what it looks like within EKS. So within the CloudFormation, you'll see specific events. So right now, I've set it to only run in 2 nodes. It will temporarily put it to 3 just so that there is no service impact when doing the upgrade. So once it's done, you just kind of have to wait and then see if everything kind of looks good. So you normally I go normally back and forth between CloudFormation and Amazon. Here are a few links about the things we have on how on what best practices within like creating our AWS organization, so you can able to federate the accounts you build within Amazon, the features within EKS, and like I said, we just sort of use GitLab's Helm chart to actually deploy the GitLab runners themselves. And they also have CloudFormation templates that you can easily integrate within your Ansible playbooks. Thank you for taking your time and listening to my quick demo. And let me know if you guys have any questions. Bye.
All right. So I love that you talked about Amazon EKS back then. May, have you played with Amazon EKS yourself?
I did play a little bit on my demo project, but haven't tried with the GitLab runner. So I actually have to go and try it out and maybe ask some questions to Lani.
And we have Lani on board here. So awesome. So thanks for joining us, Lani. And I want to ask you a few questions around containers and other things. And we'll start off with, how do you get started with Kubernetes?
I think getting started with Kubernetes is you kind of have to start small. You should learn more about Docker and like just potentially just running Nginx in Docker. So normally when you install Docker, Kubernetes is already included in that, and you can have your own Minikube. So you have a good experience of like how everything kind of feels like and how you're kind of operating with it. So get to learn like how Kubernetes architecture looks like, because there's always like a master node and you have your sort of slave nodes, like all these things, they kind of all talk together. It's essentially an orchestration of Docker containers, right? So yeah, I think you just start small, Minikube, play around. I think that's a good starting point.
That's fantastic advice. I know Kubernetes as a skill is definitely popular at the moment. So it's a hot skill to have at the moment. So next question, I'm thinking, so how can everyone transition from supporting infrastructure that's on premises to on the cloud? So how did you go about that journey?
So for me, I started with supporting on-prem platform essentially, right? I think what you need to do is find your passion and what you're good at, because a lot of my skill set were still quite transferable into cloud. Like having high availability application, high performing applications are like one of the things that I look after. So and then when I do my work, I normally have to coordinate with the Linux guys, the storage guys, the network team to kind of like get something working. But with AWS, you can easily streamline this because you have your own security groups, you have the VPC, so like it's just easier accessible. It's more accessible to you, and you can put that as part of your automation. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, automation is definitely key as well, right? As you move to the
Yes.
cloud and make it more efficient. And you've done an awesome job there already, but it's always about the constant improvement, right?
Yeah,
Awesome.
everything continuous, as they say. Yeah.
That's right. And the last question from me is, what's your favorite AWS service?
Oh, favorite AWS service. will say, uh, right. I think right now, in we're looking at the quick site, and I feel like AWS QuickSight gives you a lot of information about your platform. So it just gives me things that I haven't seen before then I haven't. So right now it's just I haven't really like played around with it that much, but it's just the information I get from there is pretty good.
Oh, awesome. That's great to
Yeah.
hear. So you're diving into the data,
Data. Hmm.
data and visualization. That's fantastic. It's data's definitely key for a lot of organizations, right? They say data is the new oil, as they say. So
Yeah. Because it helps us, right? Like you'll see who has done some manual stuff, like, oh, someone created a role using this their own account. Like, nope, 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 nope. It should be the deployment account that does this. So it's easier to see things on what's happening in your platform. Yeah.
yeah, definitely, it's great to have visibility on what's happening in your AWS accounts. And yeah, it's a really great way to dive into data with something practical. Now, May, I wonder if there's any questions from the audience.
Let me see. Maybe I'll ask some of my question first, and then the viewers, if you have any questions, please put it in the chat. And we've got Lani on the call. While the audience is thinking about the questions, I have two questions for Lani. So the first question is, um, for someone who is starting out the CI/CD, continuous integrations and continuous delivery, what do you recommend that they get started? What's your experience, or what are your recommendations for someone starting out today?
S- hmm. To me, I think starting with, because today, like a lot of the things that's been running, like the microservices are all like
Yeah.
container based. So I think starting like learning like how containerized architecture looks like and how you kind of run it and how you can make it healthy, like operating it, sort of making sure that it's still up and running, and monitoring is key. But the thing is, if you sort of start in an organization and you're sort of the new DevOps person, you kind
Hmm.
of want to discover what's the application architecture looks like, what technologies they use. Is it like Spring Boot apps, all that stuff? And then you then look at like, okay, so with the teams, like what are the ones that has the most manual work, right? Can
Hmm.
you automate that, right? So start something small, and then if you're always going to be within a team. The team will
Yeah.
help you out if you're like automating something. You just continually get feedback from the team. If you're Then you should pick a tool that it's either that's already used by the organization, but it should really improve your day-to-day work. So to me, I do like Terraform, CloudFormation, and Ansible. Those are the few things that I use day to day. So yeah, and if you're really gonna be progressing on it, like if yeah, you just should make a plan on like what you want to achieve moving forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah,
Awesome. Great advice around, having the team support and then starting small, and you kind
yeah,
of like, what are the ways that we can make it better? Cool.
yeah.
All right. I won't spend too much time on it, but I do have another questions from the audience that was asking, what do you reckon, in your opinions, Terraform versus cloud formations? But everyone has that. That's a really great question. That's from Chandramuli. That's the Twitch handles, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Apologies if I don't. But what do you think, Lani? Just your opinion.
Yeah, right now we do use both in my organization.
Yeah.
With CloudFormation, I think for me it just has a better, I guess, integration within AWS because
Hmm.
AWS obviously maintains
Yeah.
it, right?
Native service.
There,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a native service, so like if you have issues with like the APIs or the templates, you can like create a support ticket with AWS, and the CloudFormation, it's also linked to all the resources right away. So we can just like, it's easier to maneuver everywhere. And it's also linked to the billing, right? So you kind of know exactly what was
Yeah.
provisioned, and then
Mhm.
that sort of feeds into your billing. With Terraform, don't get me wrong, it's a really good automation tool. And the good thing about it, if you have multiple cloud providers, is that you have only one language to learn now. Like you just
Yeah.
kind of talk to different APIs. But I find like, I feel like sometimes Terraform, it's hard. It's easy to start, but it's hard to make it great, like across everything. Like
Yeah.
you need good foundation in order for it to work for everyone, I guess. So yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, it depends on like the skill set within the organization too, right? We cannot just move to Terraform when no one knows how to use it, I guess. So,
Cool. Awesome. Thanks for that, Lani. And yeah, I think that's all the questions we have for today.
Awesome. All right. So, awesome. So, May, I hear that you're giving away some lucky viewers some homework.
I'm keeping it to the end of the show. So, yes, so we're giving away all the viewers some homework or to educate yourself, play around with it, what Lani talked about today. So, it's going to be around EKS and then the GitLab and how you can just play around with the CI/CD. So, we have got a technical blog post that's available publicly, and I'm also going to share in the chat as well. So, you can look at the blog post, take it apart, see how things are working, and then hope you learn something from it. So, and let us know in the next episode how did you go with the tutorial.
Fantastic, May. So next episode is going to happen in about a month's time. So in the meantime, we'd love to hear your feedback around some of the technical topics you'd love to know more about. And if you identify as a woman or non-binary and have built something really cool on AWS, we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to have you here as a guest on the show. So reach out to us via our LinkedIn profiles, or even join the LinkedIn AWS She Builds group. And we'll have some more events coming your way, including the AWS She Builds Summit, which is a global summit that will have speakers from all over the world. So that's coming up November the 19th. So I'll keep you posted on that. And this is Mai.
And May. So let's net out together on She Built Tech Skills. Thank you,
See you next
everyone. And
time.
thanks, Lani.
Thanks, Lani. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.